I'm Haley.
I'm John.
And I'm Will.
And we're from Crimson Comet, a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual host.
Check out other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness begins
Expressed
in
are those of the 2,
1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
I am, what are we going to call me? Associate? Do I get my lanyard yet?
Well, no, you don't have a lanyard, but we
Last time you said I was going to get a lanyard.
Well, I mean,
there was a problem at the print shop, and they just couldn't get it done in time. Sorry.
So we're here with Ferris, and welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. This is show number 135, discussing the Daredevil Season 2, Episode 4, Penny and Dime.
135.
Yeah,
what?
135 of this awesome goodness. This show is recorded on Wednesday, July 20th, 2016. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Daredevil Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage on Netflix and the general Marvel comic universe. And the general Marvel comic universe.
Because of guilt. Guilt is a soul's call to action.
If you'd like to talk to us about guilt, you can check out our website, legendsofshield.com, where you'll find all of the great ways to contact us. We have a voicemail line, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr by searching for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Our network posts all of our video podcasts at youtube.com/GonnaGeek. And you can check out all the podcasts on our network at GonnaGeek.com.
This time on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're going to be giving away our Marvel Collector Core crate, Women of Power. We're going to be talking about Daredevil. We're going to go over your weekly Marvel news, such as it is, your feedback, and highlights from the live Blab chat room. Ferris, welcome back to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's great to have you here.
So good to be here. Thank you as always.
As we kind of discussed before, we're in the process of promoting you from intern to maybe associate consultant. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
But you kind of screwed up that last coffee order, so I don't know if you're ready.
I understand.
I saw a video on Facebook today of a latte within a sugar ice cream cone that was coated in chocolate. I'm like, oh my, that is so good looking.
I feel my teeth rotting.
Ferris, you gotta get on that, buddy.
One more chance, guys. I'll get you.
Okay.
Going, I promise.
For those of you that don't know, Ferris is a long-time friend of Gonna Geek and Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's been a guest host on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. before. He's also been on other shows such as Starling Tribune. And didn't he make an appearance on Crimson Comet, Haley, at one point in time?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I know I've casted with him before. I think he was on Crimson Comet at one point.
And the producer of Crimson Comet should know who she's had on that show. Just saying.
There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of balls in the air.
So much. Golden age we live in. Golden age.
Disco balls, Haley, or?
More like spilled rum, but
there you go. Hey, Ferris is an established author and artist of Suburban Metal Dad comic. He's a purveyor of annual creative playlists. You can't just get by a year without getting about 3 or 4 of Ferris's wonderful playlists. He's a prolific tweeter. The last time I checked, he was over 77,000 tweets. So you
free content.
You could catch him at DXFerris. He, as I said before, he's the author. He's got 3 books out there right now, 2 of which on Slayer. Slayer is 66 2/3. Slayer's Reign in Blood, 33 1/3, and Suburban Metal Dad Companion 1. And you can check out all of that great content at Amazon.com. Search for DX Ferris, and he will pop it up. And you can, if you're looking for Ferris, there is a one-stop shop. And what is it, Ferris?
It's all right there. www.checkoutmybutt.com.
Checkoutmybutt.com.
It's all there. It's organized. Individual links to everything you need from me.
So we're looking forward to great things on you on this podcast, Mr. Ferris. We've waited a full year to have you back on, and we are going to rock and roll this.
It hasn't been that long, has it?
Well, it was Daredevil, right?
Oh, man. Where does the time go?
Yeah. A couple of operations, couple of holidays, drunken holidays, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, there you go. Hey, guys, we're giving away the Marvel's Women of Power Collector Core crate, powered by Pop Funko today. Right, Haley?
Yep, and I won! Yay!
It's not going to be shipped to you, because I don't have your new address.
I could fix that.
Yeah, that's right. But in case you don't get me the address, who should be the secondary person that we send
I
it off
guess
to?
if somebody else is going to get it. So since the last time we did this, we had another entry. And just a reminder, the contest was to gender swap a Marvel character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe from male to female and tell us what actor would play that role. So we got a new entry from Calvin Prokopowicz. He said, how about Catherine Winnick of Vikings fame as Stephanie Rogers? She's got fight scenes down pat.
Bam!
She's good. She's good. Other than the accent,
really good.
She is good.
Yep. So the other entries we've had so far are Lucy Liu for Daredevil from Michelle, Aisha Tyler as Rhodey from Lobster, Starpie cheating and putting in his own entry,
just as
Kristen
an
Wiig
example.
as Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Inspired ideas, everyone.
Born to Eat Bacon recommended Bridget Reagan as Hawkeye. Badger Spoon said Lindsay Lohan for Tony Stark with an I. And at Critical Tiger suggested Sigourney Weaver for Professor X.
I don't know. That was full of some good. Y'all did good this time around.
This was good. I could see Lindsay Lohan like 15 years from now when she gets her career back on track, having the same Robert Downey Jr. type path into Tony Stark. That could work. Yeah. Sigourney Weaver, Empress of Sci-Fi, always a good choice.
Oh,
Bridget Reagan, we already have her in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now in Agent Carter.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing Catherine Winnick for Captain America, I thought that was brilliant. So we had to go with Calvin Prokopowicz's recommendation.
Calvin.
He is winning the Women of Power crate. So congratulations, Calvin. Starpie will ship that to you just as soon as he can, unless I steal it first.
That's right. So you can find him at Sergeant Uke. That's SGTUKE on Twitter. And Calvin, just go ahead and send me an email, stargatepioneer@gonnageek.com with your address, and I will get that off to you. Congratulations for winning. It was cool. And it was stiff competition. It took a lot of people to figure out who the winner was going to be. So you came on top on a very, very stiff competition. It was a great this time. You guys did great. Can't wait for the next one. Haven't really decided what the next one is going to be, but we have a lot of great stuff, including some other stuff that has been donated to the podcast to give away, and we can't wait to give that stuff away. So y'all ready to talk about Daredevil?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the main event, Daredevil Penny and Dime Season 2, Episode 4. It was directed by Peter Hoare, who has 16 total directing credits to his name, including 3 episodes of Daredevil, 3 episodes of The Last Kingdom, 2 episodes of Silk, 1 episode of a program that Haley knows nothing about, Doctor Who, because I haven't heard her say
He did A Good Man Goes to War. That's a really good episode.
I know. And 2 episodes of MI5. So Peter Hoare has a ton of stuff to geek cred to his name. And the episode was written by John C. Kelly who has a total of 7 writing credits, couple episodes of Daredevil, an episode of The Blacklist, 7 episodes of House. I know we have a lot of House fans in the listening audience. And then 11 episodes of America's favorite program, NCIS. Okay.
I think we're going to see a lot more of very good stuff from Mr. Kelly. We'll talk about that later.
In addition to his writing credits, he's also a producer of series like Daredevil, The Blacklist, House, and NCIS. So the man he's firing on all cylinders.
Good work, sir.
Yes, very well. We can't wait to see more from you. All right. We normally start our talk about the meaning of the episode title, in this case, Penny and Dime. I think it's pretty obvious what this is, right, Ferris?
Yes. Bedtime story, to put it mildly. 1
batch, 2 batch, Penny and Dime. And what an emotional, we'll talk about it later, but what an emotional story. It was great. I don't know of any other connection to Penny and Dime. Haley, do you know anything else?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So it was simply the revelation of the Punisher's past, what exactly happened to Punisher, his family, Frank Castle, the Castle family, and how he was really operating, including his hospital stay, too. That came out this episode. So it was all discovery, but it wasn't just that. There was a lot of action.
Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
Irish lads, pennies on the eyes.
But there's no dimes.
Hey, well, you know.
Well, okay, I'll give you 50%. How about that?
There were 5.
You get partial credit. It's open response to partial credit.
One of them dies with only one eye.
That's true. Well, a lot of them die for a lot of reasons. And yeah, it was pretty much from the start a gruesome episode. Basically, we talk about the status of New York, where it's at, the Hell's Kitchen at this particular time. And definitely you got a hurting place out there. The Punisher's scared everybody, and you've got rival gangs getting riled up and going after people because they just want to survive, and to survive is to attack to them. So the Hell's Kitchen is not a pleasant place to be right now. And as we see at the end, Daredevil gives the city back to itself. So that is cool. Okay, let's talk about the Irish gang. We have our guest host, Mr. Ferris, with his Irish clover on his hat. And tell me about what happens at the beginning at the best way to describe it is awake. And it's not really awake, but let's describe it like that. So what happens there?
May your neighbors respect you, SP. They're having a wake for the dearly departed boys, the lads that didn't make it home. And by the end of this event, body count has risen a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. And the body is disrespected, too. Finn upheavals the coffin onto the floor. I got to tell you, it's great having him as part of the series. Unfortunately, only
Tony
last.
Curran.
What's that?
Yeah, this is one of those interesting. This is one of those interesting TV roles where a guy rolls in and you look at him and think, "Okay, wow, here's the new big bad." This guy.
That's what I thought.
Big thorn in everybody's side for a long, long time.
I thought he was going to roll through at least a few episodes.
I know. I guess his shooting schedule, they only had him for one. So, Haley, as your cat is attacking you Daredevil or Elektra style, we'll just leave that up for the imagination. What is your favorite thing that you've seen Tony Curran in? Can you pick one, or just what comes to your mind when you think of Tony Curran?
Well, what most immediately comes to mind right now is Defiance, just because we saw him in it so recently and for so long.
Amazing in Defiance, by the way. If you haven't picked that out, 3 seasons available. Go check it out.
Wasn't he also in Timeline? He was in one of the Underworld movies. Like, he's done a lot of stuff.
He was in X-Men Days of Future Past. Or was it First Class? He was in X-Men First Class as a uncredited Men in Black, basically.
Okay. I don't remember him in that at all, but okay. He's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I know. He's a great actor. Love him. Ferris, what is your favorite thing that you've seen Tony Curran in?
You know, I don't really recognize him from anything.
Okay. There you
I mean,
go.
he's one of those familiar faces. He's been around somewhere doing something, but I can't really place him. I was not a Defiance guy. Once again, sorry, part of the
Hey,
problem.
no problem. You're not a Doctor Who guy, are you?
No, not a Doctor Who guy.
He did.
Oh yeah, he was Vincent Van Gogh in Doctor Who.
Yep. An amazing portrayal of Van Gogh, too.
That you know what? That was probably the best thing he ever did.
I liked him in Defiance a little bit better, but Van Gogh, as Matt Smith calls him, Van Gogh is...
No, it was Bill Nighy that pronounced it that way.
Oh, yeah? Anyway, he did an amazing... If you haven't seen Doctor Who and you're just looking for like one episode and you just happen to like Tony Kern or want to see more of him, go pick... I forget the episode name, but...
Vincent and the Doctor.
Vincent and the Doctor, go pick that one up. It's one of the top 10 of the new series.
Yeah, and it's one of those you could watch by itself, and it'll be fine.
I'm not a Doctor Who person, but I know of the episode Vincent and the Doctor, so that's him.
Yeah, that is him. He does an amazing job, and it's kind of sad. It's happy and sad how it ends, so you just gotta run with it there. Okay, anyway, back.
Did you interpret his drugs as happy pills, or did you interpret those as like heart medication?
I thought it was some sort of medication.
That is a good question. I have to. I think it's something more like speed or something, maybe.
I thought he's got like a bad heart or something, and he got himself all worked up, so now he's got to take his pills.
Well, if you do have a bad heart and you take what is that, the nitroglycerin
pills? Mm-hmm.
That'll do a number on you. That's for sure. I had to take some to have an injury, a injury heal. And it was just amazing what that stuff did. It was very scary, actually. My doctor's like, yeah, we need to back off on that. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. He's like, why didn't you stop taking it? Because it's only been 2 days. That's why I'm back. So
my doctor told me to take it.
Clearly a respected leader in a very dangerous business, though he does not like to be reminded that death is, in fact, part of the deal.
He does not. And this happens several different times. It's like, do you honestly think that he was prioritizing the money or his son?
Money.
Well, his son's gone already, so he has to make the most of it. You know, it's an interesting one way to look at this episode is this duel of grieving parents. And if you're one grieving parent, I think you'll do what he does. And if you're the other grieving parent, I think you'll certainly do what, well, not certainly, most of us aren't going to do what Frank Castle did, but they both feel aggrieved and they both feel righteous, and somebody's going to lose, and they do. Violence is never the answer, guys.
Yeah, I'm thinking that he came to America knowing that his son had died, and he had gotten over the grief on his trip on the way back, and he was all business. It's like, okay, I can't do anything about that, but I can put the hurt on whoever did this, and I can get my money back all at the same time. I think that's what his mindset was, but that's just me. I'm not a criminal. I don't know how criminals think. That's not me.
Well, and part of it might have been also, you know, my son died and this guy made money off of it. He's going to at least not make money off of my son's death.
Yeah. So I don't know if he knows exactly what he's getting into or not. I mean, I guess the stories of this Punisher guy have gotten out, maybe internationally, definitely locally. And when he gets in town, he's heard about it, if not over in Ireland. But he's going after a dangerous guy, and he doesn't care who gets in the way. These are not his guys either. He's from Ireland. His crew's in Ireland, so he doesn't care who he loses over here. It's really interesting dynamic because he's got all these pawns, and he doesn't care if they're sacrificed or not. And he uses them. He frightens.
Yeah, they immediately respond to him as a king of the jungle leader. He comes in and he puts the alpha male down immediately, and then they take his broad commands and listen to him.
He doesn't just shoot him. He doesn't just have him put down somewhere. He gruesomely and aggressively dispatches of him in front of everybody else, and basically is like, any questions? Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, okay, whatever you want, boss. I'm with you. Just don't put the ice pick in my eye, or whatever that was.
You're the boss.
Interesting management paradigm.
That's true. Although, I know there's a particular scene in this which might have stopped Sean, my former co-host of Voices of Defiance, from watching this. And that's when Finn, played by Tony Curran, threatens the dog. And that's not cool.
No.
Do they make it clear what happens to the dog, or do they sort of skip out on that without resolving the dog threat?
I don't think they ever showed the dog again in the series.
Yeah, I don't know if the dog made it or not. It's hard, but maybe they did originally have the dog shot or whatever, and that didn't play well with test audiences, so they just took it out.
I mean, give me the forthcoming prison hallway scene fight. I'll watch that for an hour, but I don't want to see no dog hurt.
Well, I mean, we just saw like a drill go into the Punisher's foot, which was gruesome. But even pointing the drill at the dog, you're like, you can't do that.
Not the dog.
That's not cool.
What kind of murderous criminal are you?
I know. It's like, come on.
Even Frank Castle's like, you can torture me all you want. Don't mess with my dog.
I know. He gives up. That's the one thing that he stops for. He's like, fine, here's the money. Don't hurt the dog.
Except it was also part of his master plan.
I think he wanted some time, too. I think he wanted some time to dig into his arm to get the razor blade or whatever he stashed in there, which was gross. I didn't see it going in to begin with, but I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, this whole episode was one of the more gruesome ones that I can remember in the season.
I'm surprised you didn't get a bloody shirtless scene in this episode.
That's the only time we get shirtless scenes is when somebody's like oozing gut wounds or something. But no, see what I figured it was is he couldn't just give it up right away. He had to wait to have a moment where it would be believable that he was finally giving up the information. And then that helped him take out some of the dude's guys and destroy the money.
He did. It was all about taking out the guys. And I know the one thing that'll take down the Punisher now is the taser. So skip the bullets, just bring the taser.
It took him down, but he got back up after the first try. Like, that's not how tasers work, bro.
And I think he had 2 tasers going into him, too.
It's not like I'm strong so I can overpower this. It's just your muscles lock up. You can't do anything about it.
But he's being strategic, isn't he, Ferris? He knows that they're going to eventually find the van, and as a backup plan or whatever, he's like, I'm going to set this thing to explode and kill somebody.
It's a forward-thinking plan.
I mean, you got to admit, the guy tactically and strategically is amazing. When he finally gets away and he grabs the shotgun and without even looking to the side and pulling the shotgun up to his side, he just kills that one guy without even looking at him.
At the carousel scene, I've watched this episode several times. I think it's an amazing piece. And half the time I wonder when I'm watching it, I'm thinking, why doesn't he shoot those people? And ultimately I've decided that not shooting them and getting captured, as we're talking about, is part of the plan. The first few times through, I'm thinking, well, why doesn't he just shoot everybody and crawl away? Because he wants to be there. They think they want him, but they're wrong.
True, it could be. I mean, I guess when you're implanting the razor blade, it's like, I'm planning on getting captured. So I didn't thought about that. I thought originally, even though he does commit violence there, that he thought of it as a kind of a sacred place for his daughter and he didn't want to commit violence there. But now that you say that, it's obvious to me. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know if he planned on it going on right there, but
he knew they were coming for him at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, question. Do you guys feel sorry for Finn at the end when he gets the shotgun in the face? Do you feel sorry for him one iota?
Not even a little bit.
No, he went very far out of his way to be in that situation.
He did.
No, you live by the sword, you die by the sword or shotgun.
And a lot of shotguns in this episode too, like kneecaps, elbows gone, faces, chests gone. Like you don't feel bad for him, you don't feel bad for any of his guys. This is the life they all chose. They got what was coming to them. The only thing I felt bad in is this was the one episode we got Tony Curran on in a Marvel property and Daredevil series or whatever. We could have used more of Tony Curran.
Absolutely.
They can put him in makeup and use him in Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
Well, he's with the Angels now.
No one will ever buy him as an alien, though, right?
I don't know.
Because he didn't just play one for 3 years.
That's right. I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. Yes, of course they'll buy him as an. Some of the people. I saw Doc Yule on an episode recently of Black Matter. She was in the season premiere of Black Matter as the attorney of season 2. And you can't tell that it's her because she had the prosthetic and everything on in Defiance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only way I knew it was her is I have talked to her in person and I recognized her voice. That was it. She had a nose prosthetic on. Her hair was completely different. Of course, her face didn't look like a golf ball. Yeah, so you can see aliens. You have no
Different
idea
skin?
who they are. What's that?
Different skin too.
Well, yeah, it was kind of a reptilian skin on. Anyway,
Well, speaking of the angels, did we see another theme through the episode?
there's religion throughout this entire series, but this is the first time we saw the priest back in a while. Of course, the distance between episode 2 and episode 3 was like over a month, so I don't know. It could have been episode 2 that we last saw the priest. Haley, do you even remember when was the last time we saw the priest?
I know we didn't see him last week.
Right.
That's all I know for sure.
So it's at least been 2 weeks or 2 episodes since and we see the priest. He gives his sermon for Grotto, which they go to, whatever, and he helps Daredevil out. He's like, okay, what do you need? He comes out and says, I need to be forgiven. Really? Well, you got more work to do then, son.
You know, one of the showrunners, I forget whether it was Doug, is it Petrie or Petrie?
I don't
I think
know.
it's
I
Petrie.
forget whether it was Doug or Marco Ramirez. On Nerdist Writers panel, they described Matt's relationship with the Daredevil part of his existence as kind of a parallel or a metaphor for being drunk or being a drunk, basically.
Oh, yeah?
You know, the way they explained him in this season is they're saying that, you know, he's a good, faithful Irish Catholic who dresses up as a devil at night. He beats people up, might feel tempted to kill them, tries not to. Then he goes out every night, gets wrecked, wakes up in the morning feeling guilty, feeling sore. Then the next night he goes out and he does it again. So that was the kind of the showrunner perspective on Matt's state of humanity for this episode.
I can see that it being a parallel. It's an addiction for him. He has to go out. He's compelled to go out and deal with these thugs and things like that. And you could almost say it's got a greater purpose when he's going after something organized, like when he was going after Kingpin. He was doing that for the greater good, you could say. But there are other times where he's clearly just going out to do it for himself. He has some pent-up frustration or whatever that he needs to vent, and he does it by wailing on these thugs on the street.
Yeah, and if you're a good Irish Catholic lad, I suppose there are worse things you can do with your time. But maybe this isn't the best.
That's true, but he is questioning. He's got everything from guilt that he didn't help Grotto enough to, I need to do more for the city. I mean, he's been defeated by the Punisher twice. I mean, he basically got away the second time by fighting an entire gang of motorcycle dudes. And so he didn't get to complete that, but he lost at least twice to the Punisher. He got shot once and he was captured by the Punisher once. And things aren't looking good for him. I mean, this is a foe at this point in time in the series. It's a foe that you just don't know if he's going to come out victorious or not. And so he had all that going on. And then finally, when he captures him at the end of the episode, you can see the elation on his face. But then we transition to what the season really is. And we'll get into that next week. But this was, so Ferris, the first 4 episodes are kind of like a mini series. They're mini season. They're a teaser for what's going on.
Yeah, all respect to the rest of the season. If it ended with 4 episodes, I would have been totally satisfied.
Like a mini series on BBC America or something like that. Yeah. It's that good. And you come to an end. And if Elektra wasn't there at the end, you're right. It would have been.
This would have wrapped up. It wraps up the first third of the season. The first third of the season is the Punisher being loose on the street and Matt trying to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, what was wrong with the first Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck? Well, how much Daredevil can you do in 90 minutes? This is a 4-hour bam, epic Daredevil story, not skimping on the details.
No, if I had the time, I would have rolled right through all 4 episodes again. But also, I wanted just to take, I saw all of them in a big batch the weekend after it came out, because I was at C2E2 the weekend it did come out. So I had to wait a week to do that. But I want to take the time this summer to go just episode by episode. So I have to actually stop myself from going into the next episode and just podcast and then take a couple of days and just take it in. I think this series works both ways, because it's so addicting that you can go. But if you take some time to watch each episode, you can savor the series that much more.
Well, in this season, more than last season, I distinctly remember arcs that break it up into 3 acts, I think. And this is kind of the end of the first act. And I don't know, people might be listening to this without having seen the whole series, so I won't go into what the second and third acts are, but I remember those divisions and delineations more distinctly for season 2 than I do for season 1.
Agreed. I mean, there was the buildings that blew up, and I think that was the end of Act 2, maybe Act 1. I don't know. Can't remember. But I remember that being a definitive moment in season 1. But yeah, it wasn't clear cut, because it moved right into the next act in season 1. A little bit more abruptly, or not abruptly, but a little bit smoother transition. Like, you didn't really notice the transition. We noticed the transition when we were podcasting on it last year, because we were doing the same thing, taking 1 episode per week. But when you're first watching it, it was a 12-hour movie, and this is the same thing. It's a 12, 13-hour movie, or how many episodes there are. Okay, so we've gone over Grotto being kind of sanctified in death, I guess, is one way to look at it. And we've seen the gang all there. We didn't see a lot of Foggy this episode, but we did see all 3 together several times, and one of which was at the funeral, another which was back in the office, and then, of course, at Josie's bar afterwards. I think this is the most together that we've seen Nelson and Murdoch this entire second season.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, good point.
All right. So, Ferris, I know you got the nunchucks out. You've got your Punisher shirt on. You're ready to roll. You're ready to rumble. So there were, I don't know, at least 3 main fights this episode. You want to run them down?
Yeah, well, the fights, I mean, the action was good in this. My favorite fight out of everything in this isn't one of the more epic action sequences in it, but I love it. I love Daredevil moving through that dark hallway, just him being a shadow, and then occasionally the Billy Club sailing out of nowhere. Zoom.
Yeah, you're talking
it's
about the
slapstick comedy to me.
Right.
The guys are just standing around, and all of a sudden, bonk.
And you're talking about his rescue attempt for the Punisher.
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting to note, though, I don't think he was necessarily rescuing the Punisher. He was trying to save Karen. Because that's what they decided to do. Don't try to find Karen. Don't try to protect Karen. In order to do that, you have to be aggressive, and you have to contain the Punisher. You have to get to Frame Castle, and you have to put him out of commission. Otherwise, Karen is still at danger, or at least she feels unsafe. And I think the entire city was at the same level, too. So that is why Daredevil was going out. Not necessarily to capture Frank Castle, although he had, unfinished business with the man. But he really wanted to make everybody feel safe. So there was that hallway fight. There was the fight in the, I don't know, what do you want to call it, a cell?
Yeah, the torture room, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, where him slowly getting up and just like dragging his mutilated foot across the ground as he blasts those guys away.
Oh.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, this episode I thought was more about the violence than the action, but the action in this series, of course, is second to none. The fight coordinator, stuntman, Philip J. Silvera, for my money, there is the work that he does, and then there's the rest of the field. To me, he is the John Williams of superhero movie action violence.
Nice.
I mean, all respect to, people are doing tremendous work. Civil War was very good. But when Silvera is on the screen, he's a stunt double a lot of the time. And when he's coordinating stuff, there's nothing like that. You know, the hallway scene from season 1, the prison hallway scene. I guess that's one of the Daredevil tropes now, hallway scene.
That's right.
Hallway fight scene.
Well, we did the stairwell scene last week.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So who do you think would win in a fight, Severa or Bam Bam? Of course, Bam Bam's from Arrow. He's the fight coordinator and director of several Arrow episodes.
They probably have more time to work on it, but I think Daredevil's fights are more consistently good.
I would agree. I think
we haven't gotten a dud.
Right. I think season 2, end of season 1, into season 2, beginning of season 3 of Arrow were all great fight choreography. I think it's lost a little bit of its luster. And if you want to hear more about that, go over to Starling Tribune. But you can't talk about either show and the fight choreography without referencing each other, because really they're the two top of the game. Daredevil definitely. I
think the Daredevil ones are shot a little bit better, and I think the Daredevil ones, or I'm sorry, I think Arrow, you have to watch with a little bit of imagination to kind of appreciate what's going on. You have to recognize, like, okay, this is good. It's just not shot so amazingly as Daredevil is.
Okay, so Ferris, in the fight, Daredevil uses his nunchuck to knock the gun out of Frank Castle's hand so he doesn't kill another person. Do you think that impacts Frank at all, or do you think that was just a one-time thing?
Well, Bernthal is on record saying that the character you see in Daredevil season 2, he doesn't see him as the Punisher. He sees him more as Frank Castle becoming the Punisher. So he's not necessarily the character that is everything the Punisher comes to be. So maybe he won't be as bloody in the future. Maybe he won't be as brutal. I think over the course of this episode, Daredevil earns his respect. I know that you certainly know a little bit about this kind of culture. At the scene at the end, when Frank is thinking about literally rolling over and dying, he says to Daredevil, what is it? He says, "You'd have made a hell of a Marine, Red." You know, for somebody of Frank Castle's stature, for somebody of his pedigree with his resume, to look at Daredevil and say, "You would have been a good one of us." I mean, I'm guessing he doesn't walk around saying that casually to people.
No, not at all. Although he does, in the previous episode, he talks to another former Marine and basically saves his life by telling him to go, I need to smoke alone, go back to your room, sort of thing. And I think he has respect to anybody that's actually served in the field.
But for Frank to look at Daredevil as a civilian and say, "I think you would have been a worthy one of us," that's the ultimate compliment, right?
I think that's the second time too. I think when they had the rooftop conversation last week, it was referred to, if not straight out said. I'd have to go back and watch the episode to figure that out. But yes, it is a high compliment.
That rooftop conversation last week, so beautifully shot, such an iconic classic image from the comic books, and for them to be able to bring that to life, I mean, that's the kind of thing that they never used to do in comic book movies, was use the visuals, and they do it right this time.
They do. So Haley, you're an engineer, as we've discussed many, many times before. What do you think of his new suit?
Daredevil's?
Yep.
Did they actually show it in this episode, or did they just have the case and he felt it?
I thought he put it on before he went out.
With Melvin, and he's showing him all the new gear.
Oh, okay, so what do you think about what Melvin says about the new suit?
You'll have to remind me what he said.
He said denser composites or something like that, and
able to take a shot to the dome.
He said, "I don't
New
know."
and improved.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to test that out on your own. So.
But we also saw a little bit of Melvin's gear, which those colors match up with what he wore in the comics as well.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember if this is the last time we see him this season. Do we see him again? I can't remember.
I think that might be
maybe.
Yeah,
I thought we got one more of him later, but I could be mistaken.
I think we
it doesn't. Well, it's spoilers. Doesn't he give Elektra a costume?
Oh, that's right. They go and get her some armor
gear.
too.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Those costumes have to be unbearably hot, but maybe Melvin knows something we don't.
Probably. I'm wondering if next season, because we are going to get another season of Daredevil, if we're going to actually meet Betsy, because Betsy's talked about an awful lot. So I think at some point in time we got to meet her.
Maybe, but she could just be the off-screen thing that's influencing the man that he becomes without actually seeing her.
It could be like Howard's mother in Big Bang Theory.
Not exactly the same, but sure.
Okay. R.I.P. Howard's mother. Okay. At the end, we get two Elektra scenes. I'm going to refer back to the Daredevil movie, right? Where we have the Matt Murdock and Elektra scene in the rain where he's actually able to see her for the first time. We get that with Karen and Matt in the rain, and it's almost, they didn't show it. They didn't show the world on fire, as they called it in season 1, where he's actually able to see her. They did show the raindrop coming down her.
I don't have a soundtrack of this season, but if they want to do a soundtrack that is just an hour of Deborah Hand Wool breathing heavy, I'll buy 2 copies of it, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Sterling mix. Sterling.
Right. So it was really good. And then right after, I forgot that Elektra was at the end of this episode. And right after you see Elektra, it's like, oh man, Elektra.
You know what? To back it up just a hair, it's not only a hot moment, but it's romantic. I mean, it's a very touching thing. It's not just like, oh my God, they're making out. But I mean, it's a really nice move. And so when Elektra does show up, to your point, like it's such a violation. Like, oh no. Matt was happy for a second there.
Things were just starting to go good for Matt, and now you gotta be here.
Exactly. Now, Matt pulled off that knife, and it was like, even him pulling out the knife startled Matt Murdock, the way he did it. He's like, oh man, and he like, kind of looks at his hand with the knife or whatever, almost loses it, and sees her there. Totally. That's totally unlike Matt, is to not notice somebody in the room, because usually he's pretty good with heart rate, with breathing, that sort of stuff. Of course, it's Elektra. She's masking herself, but it was a startle to everybody. So you have the dichotomy, you have the Karen and the Elektra, and we'll see how that plays out in the next few episodes. Don't worry, we haven't gone anywhere with that. We haven't. Marvel hasn't. Daredevil hasn't gone anywhere with that. We're going to see more of that. So I'm assuming you have Foggy quotes, because he was only in 3 scenes, but he had some amazing quotes. Haley, do you have some?
I don't actually have any Foggy quotes. Okay. I have a Punisher quote, and I have one from the Priest.
So Foggy had some amazing lines, even though he was in 3 very short scenes, and he did not. Foggy Nelson never disappoints, and he definitely did not. That's a good question, Ferris. This season compared to last season with Foggy, do you like how he's progressed? Do you like his bravado in this season?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's not a schlub. He's worthy, and he's offended, not because he's a loser and he has to put up with Matt's crap. He's offended because he is formidable and does not have to put up with Matt's crap, and probably does have better things he could be doing. Okay,
and again, they have not told Karen that Matt is Daredevil. Do you think that's a mistake?
Yeah, well, I mean, spoilers, it comes up eventually. And, for Matt to walk around as he does with these constantly unexplained, bruises, bumps, this, that, the other thing, he clearly has some problems there. And to not share them with somebody who's such a big part of their life, it's probably for her protection, but at a certain
it's one of those things that all the superheroes do, and I always think it doesn't make any sense. They say, they're doing it to keep them safe, to keep them separated from the dangerous aspects of their life, but what it does is it just leaves them unprepared for when those dangerous aspects roll into their lives. She's in just as much danger not knowing, but she can't prepare herself for it. She can't make herself aware of the situation that she might be in.
So do you think we learned a little bit about her brother, and the question is, what do you think about her brother? And do you think she's making a mistake not telling anybody else what she did at the end of season 1 with Wesley? Ferris?
No, it's protection. Again, nobody wants to talk about the bad things they did. Everybody is drowning in their own guilt. It looks like she's gotten away with it at this point, so and they are lawyers. I mean, for all their questionable behavior, that's the kind of thing that I'm sure they would feel is information that requires a certain amount of action.
See, I'm thinking she was the one that got Finn his drugs. I mean, she's doing this bad guy thing on the side, and she's selling drugs on the street. I think that's what's going.
I don't think that's what's going on.
That's right. So we're coming to the end of the discussion for Penny and Dime. Ferris, you got any last things? I know you said you got a couple of things to read off there.
Man, for me, I loved this season. It's not perfect. I think in some ways it's deeply flawed, but this season for me, as someone again who grew up being constantly disappointed by superhero movies, be they on TV or major superhero movies that some people think is iconic. I didn't like most of them. This is what I always wanted. This is the stuff that I wanted my whole life, that combination of drama and action and violence and meaningful violence and meaningful action. It's all there. So I love this season. But for my money, this season highlights for me are always about the Punisher. The second highlight for the season for me is the prison scene. The fight in that hallway is amazing. But above and beyond anything for me is the graveyard monologue at the end of this.
I thought that was it was very foreboding, the fact that they were actually having the conversation in a cemetery. That was not lost on me, the fact that they got to the point where they were in a cemetery and they didn't go any further. They just stayed there and had the conversation there as maybe as a metaphor that Frank was on the brink of dying, because let's face it, I mean, the dude has suffered some severe wounds over the course of the last couple of days.
And spoilers, I mean, Frank comes back around, but I was not certain at that point if he would. I thought, oh, okay, well, this is good. That was enough. That was plenty.
Yep.
Our friend Keir, the last time I saw him, I was wearing my Punisher shirt, and he said to me, I almost said reminded me, but it's up for debate. He said, the Punisher's not a superhero. And I see his point. I see where he's coming from, but Keir doesn't have kids yet. Keir does not have kids yet. And me speaking as a father of two, I think Frank Castle is the father of the year. I think Frank Castle, the Punisher, the vengeful father, I think that guy's a superhero. Maybe he's crossing a couple lines, but so I mean, my second favorite part of the season, my second favorite high point was the prison fight scene. But number one, and I never expected anything like this out of the Punisher, was the graveyard monologue. No TV show, and I love TV and I love movies. No TV show or movie scene has ever hit me like this particular scene does. Again, speaking as a father of two, going into this, I was borderline on Bernthal. Yeah, I didn't really know him. I knew him primarily from Walking Dead. Had you seen him in more before?
Walking Dead was it for me, Haley.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing him in anything but that. I thought he was good in that, but I don't remember seeing him in anything else.
Yeah, to me, he was Shane. Everybody makes fun of him going, "You can't protect her, Rick." And so I thought it could go either way. He was clearly a good choice for it, but I thought he would be competent to good, possibly very good. But I never expected that kind of moment out of him. Goosebumps for me, tears every time I watch it. No lie, no, I got goosebumps just thinking about it. The monologue. I'm a sucker. You can probably relate to this. I'm a sucker for those videos of soldier fathers returning home and surprising their kid in school.
I had that thought when he was doing that speech. Like, you've seen that video that the teacher was making of the father coming home and surprising his kids.
Yeah.
And then, he jerks the rug out from under you. That was the last time he saw her.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Daughters always, they jump up in the air and cling on to their daddy for life, and just everybody's crying, and it's amazing. And that scene, so that image alone, that's enough to get me going. But then the dialogue on top of that, him saying, "How does something that beautiful, how does that come from me? That's real, Red." She's not crying. She's holding me up.
Mm-hmm. That was a powerful statement, actually.
Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls. I cried through that whole thing, and I've seen it more than twice. Did you, as a father, how do you respond to that?
Well, it was amazing. You know, I've dealt with that sort of situation up until the family getting killed and whatever. But I've dealt with that sort of situation before, and a soldier returning is not in the correct mindset to fully take in that whole thing. They're just glad to be back, and they're trying to reintegrate with the rest of their family and whatever. And this is actually something that the armed services have done an amazing amount of work over the past 10, 12 years of returning, trying to reintegrate the returning soldiers back from the field. They're going from way a different lifestyle out there. It's not just that you're in the military. It's a different way of life where they're out, whether it's the desert, Somalia, wherever they're at. And they come back, and Shane, Punisher, Frank Castle talks about it. It's like, you got McDonald's, all that greasy stuff that we're defending ourselves. They don't have that sort of stuff out there. And when they come back, they're just not in the mental mindset to really be part of the family. Yay, they're back. They've made it back. They don't have to worry about dying tonight, getting mortared, attacked, or having to go on a mission the next day. They don't have to worry about that anymore, but they're not fully emotionally capable of opening up with the rest of their family. So the thing that went through my mind in this particular scene was the fact that, yeah, he didn't want to read the book to his daughter because he was drained. Everything that he had, he left out on the field, not football field, by the way, the battlefield. He came back and he reintegrated, and it was a celebration that he was there, but that's it. That's all he had. And
that's, as someone who's a civilian, I read to my kids a lot. And again, they're older. The older one doesn't let me read to her. The younger one doesn't want to be read to far more often than not. As a father, that's a very true moment. And I know what it's like to be civilian tired and to come back through the kind of day he had.
Right. And you just don't have it.
You can't fault him.
Nope. Yeah. That's my point. You can't fault him for saying no.
Tomorrow. There's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
Until there's not. Until there is not.
You're back in New York. Nothing's going to happen, right? Well, obviously something did.
And again, the writing on this is so masterful, so amazing. That vague but detailed at the same time, that recollection of what happens next, what happened at that carousel. Ultimate horror. Speaking as a parent, ultimate horror. In that scene, the series, for my money, leapfrogs above and beyond what even the most excited fanboy could possibly reasonably expect for a Daredevil series, and goes into an amazing dramatic performance and moment with a guy that I had no idea he had that in him.
It's hard sometimes to remember that we are talking about something that's in the Marvel interconnected universe. So this is the same universe that you have Avengers, that you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in. And this is the only place that we've really seen this amount of deep emotional connection with a character. And it's great that they're able to do it within that construct of
for my money, this is maybe the top, if not tied, emotional moment of all Marvel cinematic so far.
Yeah. I mean, there was the Phil Coulson.
How about Haley as a daughter? What do you think? Good dad, Frank Castle?
Not quite as buff as Frank Castle. I mean, I can see, I know parents, I know my parents, and, there's things they would do that you don't want to get on their bad side. Like, don't mess with people's kids.
That'll get them riled up, definitely. Or siblings, or people like the dog, people that are helpless, whatever. But yeah, kids, definitely. No. So Ferris, you got anything else before we have to wrap this up?
No, that was just amazing. I mean, I love this season, and the Daredevil series was already everything I always wanted in superhero movie, superhero TV show, but with this episode in particular, it elevated it beyond what I could have hoped for. It's amazing.
It is.
It shows how good superhero drama can be.
I'm looking forward to the Defenders.
Hats off to John Barenthal for pulling that off. What's the writer's name again? Chris,
John Kelly, I believe.
John Kelly. Hats off to you, sir.
Absolutely. So Haley, you said you mentioned you had a couple of quotes. You want to run through those real quick?
Just a couple. All right. Revising history only dilutes the lessons we should learn from it.
Yeah.
I guess I was wrong. About you being a wuss. I can't say the real thing.
I'm such a bad producer.
Yep. Now, I love that between the two characters, that grudging respect and acceptance. And, as with so many of these kind of movies, the two sort of enemies look at each other and say, in a different reality, maybe we could be friends. But now we got to shoot each other.
I know. Well, at least they're at a truce point at this point in time. So we'll see. All right, guys, we got to move on, and let's get on to some feedback. All right, we had a couple of notes of feedback from folks, and one of which was a tweet from our friend at Mr. Paracletes, and he tweeted us a cool picture. He said, I found this on Facebook. Pokemon Go is really making a difference. And it's a conversation between Captain America and Iron Man. Haley, why don't you be Iron Man? And Ferris, why don't you be Captain America here? So, Ferris, do you want to start off here on this conversation, this tweet, this instant message, this texting conversation?
Hold on, I'm zooming. Okay, I'm starting it off.
Yep.
Okay. Hold on, let me get my Steve Rogers voice on. This is tough to do. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Something weird is going on. 6 villains have walked up to the mansions today and asked to come inside.
Awesome, it worked.
What worked?
I hacked Pokemon Go and put a rare Pokemon in the mansion to lure villains here.
I'm glad you found an easy way to catch the bad guys, but please warn me next time.
Easy. Do you know how hard it is to hack a server that crashes every 2 minutes?
I think you know that I do not.
And the dig there is that the Pokemon Go server is crashing every 2 hours, 2 minutes, whatever. So I know a lot of people get caught in the middle of catching a Pokemon, and it's like it freezes, so you don't know if you've caught the Pokemon or not. I don't know. I haven't played it. Ferris, have you played it?
I have not. My kids both got it, and then they disappeared for vacation, so they're going to come back, and I'm going to hear a lot about it.
I'll bet you.
I think it's a good thing, though. I think it's a good thing.
Everyone else in my cubicle at work but me is playing, and every once in a while someone will hop up and run out of the building real quick.
It's all the great stories about it are amazing. I know a student that I have for class got 17,000 steps on his Fitbit in one day, 13,000 in another. There's that wonderful story about the 2 white guys going out into a park at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and a couple of sketchy looking black guys see them, and they sort of make contact, and they wind up striking up a Pokemon conversation, and then the police pull up. Oh my gosh. And the police ask them what they're doing. And by the end of the conversation, the policeman is downloading the app, and it's, 3 very different sets of people in a park at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I remember hearing this. I remember hearing this conversation, this story told on a Gallifrey Public Radio After Dark segment between Jay and Haley. And Jay was the one who was out in the middle of the night because Jay works some crazy hours, and he was trying to wind down and play some Pokemon Go at 2 in the morning. Ended up meeting up with some should be sketchy characters, and the cop came around, thought he was going to arrest some people for a drug deal or something, and he ends up playing Pokemon Go. So I think, it was all cool.
Every Pokemon story you hear is a little bit more heartwarming than the next one. So it's a great thing, and people are getting exercise from it.
That's true. I read a story about a marathoner, which in his training has no big deal of doing 10,000 steps per day, but he went for 20,000 steps per day because his running takes him to 10,000 steps. He said it was hard to get to that 20,000 steps. So 17,000 steps playing Pokemon Go, that is some amazing walking right there.
Marathoner.
Haley.
Yeah.
Andy sent us an email, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
What did Andy have to say?
Daytech in the house.
Hoose.
He wants to know what the deal with the missing hand is again.
Daytech in the hand.
He has a theory. Now remember, this is a theory he had the first time I watched the episode. Somebody like Reyes created the Punisher to do their dirty work, and he went rogue.
Well, we didn't talk about the Men in Black, but there was definitely people that were hovering over Punisher. So I have a hunch that he was just more than a normal soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even after this season, I think we'll still be learning some more about Mr. Castle.
Yep, absolutely. And then Andy gives us a rating for the episode every time. Haley, what did he rate the episode at?
Bottom line, yes, yes, yes. 10 out of 10 single slow-mo raindrops.
Absolutely. That is a rare 10 out of 10 from Andy. So that is how good the episode was. All right, guys, you ready to walk this one out?
Let's do it.
Join us next week as we discuss Daredevil Season 2, Episode 5, Kinbaku with the Jonah Lobster. Yes, we have the lobster back in the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios next week. Hey,
Good guy. Congratulations.
Yes. You can always find our live streams at www.geeks.live. And don't forget, we have a website, legendsofshield.com, which will take you to our page on the GonnaGeek.com webpage. We also have a voicemail line, 844-THE-BUS-1 or 844-843-2871. Boy, do I miss the bus. We have a Facebook page, so you can catch our live Facebook streams there. We have a Twitter account, a Tumblr account, and we also have forums. You can go to forums.gonnageek.com, search for Gonna Geek on your Tappa Talk app. Ferris, thank you very much for joining us. It's awesome to have you back, and I hope we can have you back for another episode for the rest of season 2.
Love to. Thank you, as always, for your help and for your patience with the technical side of things. Always a pleasure, guys.
It's great having you. Can't wait to see you again. I also want to thank all of our listeners, specifically everybody that's listening to us live on Spreaker and the people that are in the chat room. You guys make this very easy. Throwing comments at us, we really appreciate that.
Thank you to everyone that's participated in our live tweet events. Thanks, Ferris, for doing that for us last night with Lauren being out. Also, thank you to everybody that participates in our contests. Congratulations, Calvin, on winning. If you didn't win this time, don't be discouraged. We'll be having another contest in the very near future. Probably we'll announce it next week after, something like that. And so stay tuned to find out the next way you can win awesome, cool prizes.
Yeah, thank you, listeners, people at home. It makes a huge difference. You know, you don't get as much feedback doing this stuff as you would think you do. So you matter. Thank you.
Yes. And you matter too, Ferris.
No, you matter more.
No, you're pretty.
All right.
No, thank you for having me.
You bet. Until next time, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Consultant Ferris.
Bye.
I want my lanyard.
Yeah,
my lanyard. I was promised a lanyard.
See you
Where's
guys
my
next
coffee?
week.
Bye.
Mine.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.